Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we're a member of the College Huddle podcast community. If you're not already, give our socials a follow. We're on everything: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And as always, this podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. As always, I've got Tyler here with me, man. We're diving into another position of the position series breakdown. Tyler, you ready to jump in?
Yeah, man, let's get in here and talk about defensive linemen and linebackers.
But before we do that, we have to get caught up with the Red Towel wrap-up, which is catching us up on all the athletics news that we've missed since we last recorded, and is brought to you by Trent Bedding Company. So let's get a word from Trent.
Don't forget your headboard, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green. All right. Hey!
Twins, full, queen and king, mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
All right, so this week, the Conference USA Roundtable Episode 2 aired, talking QB rankings. Be sure to check out that replay if you didn't catch it live.
Yeah, that's a really fun, collection of Conference USA podcasts that we put together. Seems like most of our episodes are going to air either Saturday evening or Sunday evenings. That's just kind of availability-wise when we can do that. But it's just nice getting all the like-minded individuals that are pretty familiar with each other and all the teams and what we bring to the table. Just sitting down and just talking about what our teams and what we how we think we're going to do in this upcoming year. So it's been fun. We've now done power rankings, and we just did the quarterback rankings yesterday as we record on Monday. But looking forward to future episodes and just talking about Conference USA football.
Moving on, WKU football and basketball are ranked number 34 in all of D1 schools and combined win percentage the last 10 years at a .607.
Yeah, I'm going to steal a line from Todd Stewart. And you're known by the company you keep. If you're in that upper echelon, if you have successful programs across the board, and our football and our basketball teams have been just very consistent, especially over the last 10 years. Winning 60% of their games plus. So number 34 in all of Division I. I think we were number 2 in Conference USA. So really good just stat and just, awesome news. Love to hear
it. Also, with the good must come the bad. And a rest in peace to Mr. Hilltopper royalty, Mr. Western Lee Robertson, passing away this past week at a ripe old age of 102 years old.
Yeah, it feels like we've lost a lot of Hilltopper greats, not only former student athletes, but just, even just fans and donors, alumni, etc. Over the last, year plus. There's been several of them that have passed on and you hate to hear it. Obviously, we want to celebrate their life and just how much they loved Western and everything they brought to the community and the university. So we're going to celebrate his life and just, think about his family, thoughts and prayers, obviously.
And that concludes this week. Yes, and that is very sad to hear. And you're right, that's a loss of life that, I don't think it'll be easy to replace someone with that much love and that much respect for WKU. But with that concludes the Red Towel wrap-up brought to you by the Trent Bedding Company.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 102 years, man. That's a heck of a life lived. I think we can all hope and wish to, just have that much longevity in our lives and just be able to touch that many lives in this university and give that much back like he did. So, but moving forward into our 2024 WKU football position series breakdown, we now have done coaches and we've done quarterbacks. We're going forward with the defensive linemen and linebackers on this week's episode. As always, I do want to make that note that all of our data is derived from the Phil Steele College Football Preview Magazine and the WKU Sports Online roster. Pretty much anything and everything we share is going to be from those two sources. So, we're going to try to be as accurate as possible. Now, Phil Steele has our defensive line ranked as the 7th best unit in Conference USA. 7 out of 10, not great. We're only ahead of FIU, UTEP, and MTSU. I mean, there's really not a lot you can say there. The ranking is what it is. It's on paper. Obviously, we can only go up from there. Now, this group is coached by second-year defensive line coach Carson Hall, who we talked about in the coaches episode. We talked about him last year with his pedigree coming from Georgia, and just his expectations and the impact that we think he'll have on that group of student athletes. I think he's a terrific coach, and that 7th ranking, it doesn't mean much to them. I'm sure they're not reading that or worried or caring about that. They're just worried about putting the best players on the field and being successful. But before we can talk about who we're going to have on the field, let's talk about who he lost from this past season. And the first person we have to talk about is Nante Davis. He is a friend of the podcast in the fact that a year ago with this episode, he was the first ever guest on the Topper Talk podcast. So, he came on, got to share a lot about his life and his story, his journey through the high school and college ranks and making it to Western. And he now has graduated and has earned a rookie minicamp invite with the New York Giants. So we're obviously cheering for Nante. We hope to see him get his chance and break into the league and just continue, his successful career and that story that he's still writing. We also lost Jaquez Evans, a.k.a. Donut. He transferred to Baylor. We also lost Nico Cooper, who exhausted his eligibility. We lost Marquise Black, who transferred to Gardner-Webb. And then we lost Ryan Williams, who has entered the transfer portal, but has not yet to make his determination on where he's going to commit to. So, Tyler, talk to us about these guys we've lost and just, the impact they had and, obviously how we're going to miss them.
Well, Nante, you're right. I mean, the boy came in here from Austin Peay. He played behind an All-American there. He came in here. He fought. He represented WKU well. I mean, he was a big body. He's a big boy. When we saw him at the Red Tap Trust event, I mean, good Lord, guy looked huge. I can only wait to see what a few years in the NFL with their conditioning and weightlifting program will do for him. I think he's going to be a beast. He played good here at Western. It sucks to lose him only after 1 year. Jaquez Evans, I mean, in 22, he had 100 tackles at least. And, that's just kind of experience that you just can't gain overnight. He put in a lot of man hours on that. He played multiple positions, defensive end, outside linebacker, inside linebacker, kind of a threat all over the field. And it sucks he transferred, respect for him. I hope he goes down there in Baylor and really balls out and puts a fear into the Big 12. And Nico Cooper, he came here, he played all the years he could, exhaust his eligibility. I mean, I think last year he had 39 tackles, 1 sack, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup, and 1 interception, and 3 quarterback. No, I'm sorry. He had 2 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups, and 3 quarterback hurries. I mean, he gave it all his heart to WKU. He played hard, and, it sucks to lose them 3. Marquise Black, I don't think he ever really got his chance to shine, or he never really got on the field. It does suck to lose that kind of experience, especially what we're about to talk about, in my opinion. some of the youth of this unit. And then Ryan Williams, I mean, I hope the best for him wherever he goes. But man, those top three really hurt, and it really sucks losing that kind of experience.
Yeah, obviously Nante is going to be hard to replace. Donut, he was injured off and on last season, but we know, he kind of came in last year as the reigning Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. He was the preseason Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, didn't get to live up to that billing with his injury troubles last year, and then decided to go to Baylor. So we will wish him the best of luck as he continues his college football journey there at Baylor. Then the other guys, Nico obviously was a great player, came from Nebraska. Then Marquise Black and Ryan Williams. Wherever they land, and Gardner Webb and Ryan, wherever he decides to play football, we'll be cheering them on and hoping for the best of their careers going forward. Now, some guys that we added to the roster, we added a Jaleel Rivera Harvey. He is number 91. He's a 6'2", 317-pound senior. He transferred here from Marshall University. So, hey, Moonshine Throwdown, we're back. We also added Zach Edwards. He is number 32. He's a 6'1", 255-pound senior. He transferred from Troy. And then we have some freshmen, some high school signees. First one is Harper Holloman. He is number 44. He's a 6'2", 244-pound freshman. Then Chukwunda Okiki, number 90. He's a 6'3", 284-pound freshman. And then lastly, Brandon Tobias, number 96. He's a 6'4", 235-pound freshman. So Tyler, talk to me about these guys and maybe some expected contributions or just what you think about these additions to the roster.
Well, I am curious about the Riviera Harvey. Coming from Marshall, their program is subpar to WKU, so I'm curious to see what he's going to how that play there and in the Sun Belt is going to transfer to WKU, to where the lights are a little bit brighter, passions may be a little bit more extreme here. But I am excited to see what he's going to do with that 6'2", 317-pound body. Zach Edwards, Troy has been a pain in our rear ends the last few years. I'm excited to, he followed one of the coaches up here. I'm glad that he came up here, and I'm waiting to see what he can do. The three freshmen, I mean, pretty good size, especially on Okiki. 6'3", 284 pounds. The other two need to put some weight on them, Brandon Tobias and Harper Holloman. But I think in a few years, if they do redshirt in a few years through working out and being in the strength and training program, I think they could put on some mass and definitely help us up front in the D line.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is that when we got the transfer from Marshall, obviously I touched base with couple of our friends that are still with in the Marshall congregation and in the know. So tell me about this guy, and they said he was a rotation piece this last year, and he was expected to be a pretty solid contributor this coming season. So excited to see. I don't know if he'll be a starter or just a rotation piece, but it's nice to have a body that has game time experience, has tape, and has been on the field, and it's not going to be clueless when the lights come on. And then Zach Edwards, like you said, he followed Coach Bernardi here from Troy. I think he was one of like 3 or 4 Troy transfers when Coach Bernardi came over. So, love to see him and, what he might contribute. And then the freshmen, like you said, I think they all obviously have potential. If we recruited them and we want them to come here and play, obviously I don't hope that they contribute their freshman year. I hope that they get to redshirt and sit behind some guys that are more experienced, more game ready, and get themselves and their body just more ready for the college game. And then in the future years, hopefully contribute to our program. But obviously we're glad they're here and we are glad to have them. Now, some other guys that are on the roster that we also have to talk about first is Marcus Patterson. He is number 92. He's a 6'3", 272 pounds redshirt sophomore. And then we have Dallas Walker. He's number 35, a 6'4", 312-pound redshirt junior. Then we have Keyshawn Harvey, number 97, a 6'1", 325-pound redshirt freshman. Then we have Terrion Tank Thompson, number 13. 6 foot, 292 pounds senior. Jalen Hand, number 93, 6 foot 3, 275 pound redshirt freshman. And then Reed Jamerson, number 40, who is a 5 foot 11, 228 pound redshirt sophomore. So Tyler, talk to me about some of these other guys that are filling out that depth chart that we have available on the D line.
Well, you see Marcus Patterson. He played in 11 games last season. He got 5 tackles with a season high 2 versus Sam Houston and 1 quarterback hurry. Dallas Walker, he was a transfer from Texas A&M last year. He appeared in 9 games on his first season on the Hill, providing depth for the D-line. He finished the year with 9 tackles, including a half a tackle for loss. He posted multiple tackles in 3 games. Tank Thompson, local boy from Bowling Green. He was a key player, actually, on the defensive line. He appeared in all 13 games. He finished the year with 22 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. And his 5 tackles actually for loss ranked 3rd on the team, so that's pretty impressive. He also had a season-high 6 tackles in the season opener versus South Florida. And he retired. I remember this one. He had that fumble recovery where he ran 63 yards and he was bumbling, he was stumbling, and he was giving it his damnedest to get to that end zone, but he fell up just a little bit short. But what impressed me about him is he actually started out on the practice squad for WKU in 2020. So that just proves that he wants to be here. He wants to prove himself. And I'm all for that. I'm all for the underdogs who's able to get their chance. Jalen Hayne, 6'3", 275. He didn't play last year. Keyshawn Harvey, he didn't really play none last year. So it's going to be hard to try to see what they can do. I'm sure they're going to do great whenever they get their spotlights, because I feel like there is going to be some rotation here. Jalen Hand. He also let me find him real quick in my notes. He also did not play none last year. 6'3", 275 pounds. I mean, those are some good sized bodies. That's going to that's going to help us later on in the season. Hopefully no injuries occur, no one gets hurt for any long periods of time, and we can finally stay healthy on this defensive line.
Yeah, I think one thing that jumps out to me is really the youth movement of the guys that we have on the roster, that we've talked about so far. You see redshirt sophomore, redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore, with 2 upperclassmen included in that also on the roster list. So, I think all these guys, while they may not be starters, I think they will all be instrumental pieces in the rotation and hopefully get to see some time on the field. A couple of them already have seen time on the field over the last couple of years. So I look forward to, especially Marcus, Dallas, Keyshawn, and Terrion. I think we kind of know what those guys can bring to the field. I think they're going to be instrumental rotation pieces that, whether it's a breather or whether it's injuries, whatever it may be, just game situation, I think those guys can all come in and contribute to this team and to the defensive line immediately from game 1 this year. So now let's talk about the projected starters for the defensive line this coming year. First, we have Deontay McCray. He is number 95. He is a 6'4", 268-pound redshirt sophomore. Then we have Jaden Loving, who is number 94. He's a 6'3", 302-pound redshirt junior. And then lastly we have Hosea Wheeler, number 98. He's a 6'3", 298-pound redshirt junior, and he was listed on Phil Steele's preseason All-CUSA first team as a defensive tackle. So got some talent up front. Tyler, talk to me about these guys and kind of what you expect from them.
All right, so McCray, he was 2023 All-Conference USA freshman team. Started in 4 games, played in 12, had 7 QB hurries. That's ranked 2nd on the team. 1 sack, 3.5 tackles for loss, 42 tackles on the season, tied for 3rd of returning players. Season high 10 tackles at Troy. Season high 3 quarterback hurries at Sam Houston. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I'm glad he decided to stay. I think he's going to be instrumental in this defensive line, defensive end, try and get around the edges and put pressure on the QB. Moving on down to Jaden Loving, 6'3", 302 pounds, big boy. He appeared in all 13 games in his first season on the Hill with started defensive tackle at Ohio State on September 16th. He finished the season with 36 total tackles, including 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, and 2 pass breakups. He recorded season high tackles, 7 tackles at Troy whenever we played them. And then moving on down to Hosea Wheeler, he was 2023 All-Conference USA second team. Like I said, this year he is Phil Steele first team. He played in all 13 games last season with 11 starts. He also recorded 42 total tackles, including 3 for loss, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, an interception, and a quarterback hurry. So he was filling them stat sheets. One of his sacks and forced fumbles and interception came in the game at Ohio State. And then he posted a season-high 6 tackles in back-to-back games at Troy and against Middle Tennessee. So you love to see it. I think our starters are pretty solid. They all have experience. When you got 2 of those starters who were on a Conference USA All-Team last season, that's nothing to shake your head at. I know we do have a youth movement. It is a lot of, redshirt sophomores, juniors, with a sprinkle of seniors in there. It's going to be tough, but I believe this team, this unit can do it and prove that they ain't the 7th ranked unit in the conference.
Yeah, we talked about that youth movement and just all the young guys, the freshmen, the sophomores, etc. And then you look at these projected starters, and we have no seniors of the 3. So we were talking about, redshirt junior, redshirt sophomore. So all 3 of these guys can return potentially and play again for Western Kentucky next year, obviously pending their personal decisions. If they decide to test the portal, go pro, whatever may lie in front of them with their best interest in mind. So, youth movement it is, but there is a lot of experience and a lot of skill and talent within this unit. And obviously just looking forward to the future, we won't be talking about a youth movement. We'll be talking about some experienced players that have a lot of playing time under their belt when we're doing this position breakdown a year from now, looking at the 2025 season. So now we've got to jump into the 4 questions that we'll ask of every position group. So first, Tyler, who is your hardest to replace on the defensive line?
All right, so I'm gonna go with Donut Evans. No offense to Nante Davis. You're a great friend of the show. You're a great dude. I hope nothing but the best for you up in New York Giants. Go up there, kick some ass, and let them know where you're from. But I'm going to have to go with Donut Evans on this. 2 years ago he had 100+ tackles. Last season, it was a down year. He was injured for 6 of those games. But you got 6 or 7. But you got to think with that kind of experience, if he wouldn't have been hurt, what them numbers could have been.
Yeah, I've got to go with Nante Davis. I do respect the Donut Evans selection. Obviously, he was a great player while he was here. All-conference player, defensive player of the year. But, I think Nante was more impactful this last year. Played in all the games. Was just a space eater and just a man mover up front. Sometimes that defensive line, those stats don't jump out at you because they're opening up holes and gaps and allowing your linebackers to be the ones to make the play, etc. But I think Nante, friend of the podcast, he's that guy that I think is going to be the hardest to replace, and somebody that I'm looking forward to, just seeing what he does now that he's got his shot at the pros. So, yeah, give me Nante. What about your breakout player in the defensive line group?
Sorry, but if you hear my dogs barking in the back, they just started barking right when you was talking. I'm gonna go with Terrion Tank Thompson. Last season he had a stat line right there, and I can only wait to see what this next year is going to prove to him that he did get that experience. He is a senior. He wants to go out strong on his last season. So I feel like this will be a good year for him, and that's going to be my breakout player.
I like Tank. Terrion's a heck of a player, but give me Deontay McCray, the redshirt sophomore defensive end. Really going to get his first chance to be on the field in kind of a full-time starter role and capacity. We've seen what he's done the last couple of years, part-time, just rotating onto the field. I think there are very high expectations to what he can bring to this team and this defense and just being disruptive. So give me Deontay McCray. I think he's the guy. I think he's going to have a huge step forward in production this year. What about your MVP on the defensive line?
Oh, I'm going to go with Hosea Wheeler on this one. I believe he, last season, All-Conference USA second team. This year, first field steel first team. He's 298 pounds, 6'3", big body, wide body. I feel like he's, like you said about Nante, he's like a version 2.0 to me of Nante. He's going to go in there. He's going to move some bodies. He's going to open up the lanes for the linebackers to get into. And he's going to hold his guys and disrupt the offensive play of the other team. So I'm going with Hosea Wheeler.
As always, a reminder, we do not share notes. We don't compare notes. I don't know what you're going to answer. You don't know what I'm going to answer. But I am also going with Hosea Wheeler. I think he's that upperclassman. He's a redshirt junior. He's been here, done that, played a lot of football, was obviously a really good player last year as a second-team All-CUSA. And then this year, the preseason first-team All-CUSA player, obviously health willing. He's going to be a really effective player and just leader for this team and this unit that we've already talked about is a young unit. So I'm really looking forward to Hosea Wheeler and just what he can bring to this unit. And I expect him to be very productive. Now, what is your bold prediction for the defensive line?
All right, so just to put this out there the second time, we did not share notes on this because I didn't know what my note was going to be until right whenever he pressed record. In 2022, we allowed 148 rush yards per game. Now, last season, that number went down to 109 or went up to 190. Helton don't like to see the opposing team's offense running all over us. I'm sure he got into the defensive coordinators, asked a little bit, maybe, the D-line linebackers coach. I think the number's going to go down. And so I think we're going to allow 120 rush yards per game. That includes Alabama. We're gonna hold them. We're gonna blitz, big red blitz. We're going to, like I said, allow 120 rush yards per game. I think that's definitely going to come back strong this year. It needs to. So yeah, that's my hot take. That number from last year is going to go down 70 yards per game.
Yeah, oddly enough, I'm right there with you. I think I don't have a number penciled into what it's going to be, but I think our defensive line, I think we see a better production in allowing rushing yards per game. I think, what you just said, last year we allowed a lot of yards per game rushing. There were times we just could not get off the field. I particularly remember the Liberty game, the second half of that game. We knew what they were going to call. They were calling handoffs to Cooley, or Salter was running the ball. We knew what was coming. We could not stop them. I think we improved this year in our run defense. I think we allow less yards than what we allowed last year. If it's 120 per game, I would love to see that. But I think we definitely take a step forward. Although we have a youth movement in this position group, I think we have a lot of depth and talent in this group to take that step forward. Now, for my final words, I have to say that, again, as we've did this practice last year, now we jump back into it this year with our third position group. Now, man, it is just so awesome to just talk about all these players. Even guys that have left, guys who've added to the team, those depth chart pieces, the young guys that we expect to contribute this year, even the freshmen that may not contribute, but we're gonna talk about them this year, and then hopefully we talk about more next year as they break into the rotation, and then the starters and just there's a lot of talent on this team. We know that there's a lot of youth on this side of the ball, especially the D line and the linebackers that we talked about today. But there's also a lot of talent, and I'm looking forward to both of these position groups. Ranked by Phil Steele, our college football preview Bible as the number 7 and number 6 units in the conference, and rightfully so. If you just look at the statistics, with an unbiased view and just what's returning, what was lost in production last year, I get it. Phil, I get it, but I don't agree that by the end of the year, I think we're going to be talking about several guys, not just one, that are, all conference players. I think we're going to have several guys across both of these units that are all conference players. And I just think there's a lot more talent than what we're being given credit for. I really trust this coaching staff and the talent that we have and we've brought in, that we're going to continue to develop to just exceed expectations, not just accept the status quo, and that they're middle of the pack, the 6th or 7th unit in this conference. I think we're definitely the upper half, if not the upper third of this conference. And I'm looking forward to these guys just letting their play on the field speak for them, and not some college football preview rankings. So Tyler, hit us with your final words and then take us on out of here.
Yeah, for real. I am tired of the bend don't break mentality. It is important, but I'd rather stand firm and get the other team off the field. So basically stand firm and hold, because last year whenever we were going through our pregame, scouting, I guess, we would see a team had a great running back, and we was like, crap. We kind of know what they was going to do. Kind of like what you said about Liberty. We knew what they was going to do the entire game, especially in the second half, whenever they ran the same play up and down the field multiple times, but sometimes back to back. I just hate that. I want this defensive line and linebackers to have, especially the coaches, to know, hey, we can't be having that. We can't be letting them run up and down, run them down the field on us and get them extra yardage, especially in 3rd and mid or 3rd and long, and know that they're going to get it, because we had to take some pride in that. And I feel like that's definitely been our Achilles heel the last few years. And I feel like if we got that, if we stopped the opponent's run game, we were golden. I feel like our pass defense was great. We definitely held receivers in check. We held QBs, but we just got to stop that run game. And I feel like if we do that, we would have won some of them games that we lost. And hopefully this year, the coaching staff took notice of that and made some changes in what they're going to call, how they're going to prep these guys, because that's one glaring spot in our armor that hurts us. But I am looking forward to what these guys are going to do in the season. I'm not going to run them down, because hey, they go out there and they put their body through stuff that most of us wouldn't at all. They do it every day, just for the love of the game. So with that, I will say, Moff, who has better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See you
On Topper Talk.